And we are live. We're here. The trio is back together. Like, we have one person not on camera because their camera doesn't want to work in Discord. We have one person hanging on by the skin of their teeth to life over here. Like, he has risen from the dead, but only just. It is Mr. Terry Jeffs over on my left as well. So, Terry, how are you doing?
That's a good question. That's a good question. How am I doing? I feel like shit. I absolutely feel like shit, but I'm here. And that's what it matters, because I've been dying to speak with you guys and hang out with you guys and hear what we've been playing and what I've not been playing and what we've been watching. And yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to this, guys.
We've got lots to talk about, but also joining us today, it is my back for blood buddy, the best beard in the business, Mr. Vince Haley. Vince, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. 2 more sleeps till Elden Ring. We've almost made it. We're at the finish line. Let's just cross it already. Give it to me.
Give it to you.
Sticking it in his veins.
Right in the veins.
But yeah, I tell you what, it's been a busy couple of weeks, hasn't it, with games? But let's not beat around the bush. Let's talk.
Has it?
Well,
it really?
Games, yeah. There's been quite a few. I don't know if you realise, Terry.
No, yeah. I'm seeing there's a lot coming out.
Yeah, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Elden Ring. You know, today was the day that the review embargo lifted. We got all those all important metrics, if that's what you care for, or we just got people's opinions, which I think is a bit more, and actually understand more about what the game is. Vince, you're the person. I think you've done all of them now, haven't you? Apart from Elden Ring, is that where we're at?
And Demon's Souls.
Okay,
so I haven't finished Demon's Souls, but that's obviously going to wait until after Elden Ring, because why not?
I'm guessing these reviews, all they've done is tantalized you more, you know, like, and made it even harder to wait these last 2 days.
Absolutely. Like, everyone has nothing but great things to say about it. I mean, obviously, it's just kind of the same thing, right? If you like Souls games, you're going to love this. So, yeah, I'm all in. I'm ready.
Is there anything from the reviews that, because I think, especially the last month, there's been a lot of Elden Ring, like, deep dives almost. You know, there's been a few trailers over the last month. There's been a lot more information coming out about the game. Was there anything in the reviews that kind of took you by surprise? Anything that you're like, cool, okay, I didn't realize this, or that's interesting. Was there anything that in anyone's reviews that stuck out to you?
I have not read any reviews because I would prefer to go in blind. But here's the thing, right?
Okay.
Souls games known for massive encounters, right? You want to go into a Souls game potentially as fresh as possible. And I have not watched any of the recent trailers. I have not watched any gameplay. I'm avoiding as much as possible just because, you know, there's so much in those games for you to discover as the player, which is generally how FromSoft games tend to work. It's a lot about discoverability.
Yeah.
So, having that experience for the very first time is going to be fantastic. Because, you know, I mean, playing any game for the first time should be a magical experience for anybody. And I just hope, I want that for Elden Ring. Like, this is such a massive, like, most hyped game for me that I just want to go in as fresh as possible.
Yeah, no, like, this game's right up your alley, and I know the next 2 days are going to be difficult for you, and then you're going to sink a lot of time into this game, and every other game will fail to exist, I am sure.
We just got Horizon last week.
Yeah.
And I've been really wanting to play that, but I've also been like, Elden Ring's about to come out. I don't want to start up Horizon, drop it for Elden Ring, and then forget everything I'm doing coming back. Yeah.
It's so funny you say that, Vince, because I was literally thinking this today, and like, I can't believe this has happened again to Gorilla. I can't believe
it's unfortunate.
Lightning has struck twice, and so, like, so go back to when did the Horizon Zero Dawn come out?
2018, wasn't it?
That was 17, yeah.
2017,
yeah. So, like, Horizon comes out, and it's fantastic. It's a great game, and brilliant open world, explorable, and beautiful to look at, right?
Yeah.
And then Breath of the Wild comes out and completely reinvents what an open world game is, and gets 10 out of 10s across the board, best game ever made. And in a way, Horizon literally just gets overshadowed, like, because it's like they get compared, obviously, because they're released quite close together. They're open world games, but like Breath of the Wild is this thing that's just like, revered. And then fucking Horizon Forbidden West comes out, and again, from what we're seeing, a fantastic game, stunningly beautiful. Like, we were saying before, I think this is going to be the benchmark of like visual quality. And then again, this game comes out, which is, people are speaking in the same vein as Breath of the Wild, in that it's this open world that's kind of reinventing it. And it's like, same shit's happening again. Guerrilla must be thinking, what the hell have we got to do? Like, we've delayed this game, and it's like, we always end up going up against...
But the issue is Elden Ring delayed and delayed and delayed.
Yeah.
So like they couldn't get away from it.
It's like they've dodged the Breath of the Wild 2, because I think before we were joking, like, is it going to come out alongside Breath of the Wild 2? And it's like, come out along this thing that's literally in the same like kind of vein. And it's like, oh my God, I just really hope that they have this room to breathe. But then, like you say, you got someone like Vince who would play both of those games, but he's had to choose one over the other. And it's just like, oh my God, I just hope it doesn't damage Horizon's chances and stuff like that. But
it's unfortunate for Guerrilla. Like, they have such a good launch with Horizon, and then Elden Ring looks like it's going to come along and have a really strong launch. Doesn't seem to be many technical issues with the game from the reviews. So the game looks pretty much ready to go. I know and there always is from soft games, especially Souls-like games. There's always controversy with it because there's very limited or no accessibility options and stuff like this, which is obviously an important part of gaming. And I do think that I understand both sides of the argument, that these games aren't designed to work that way, but at the other side of the argument, I think, is they should. You shouldn't be. You should cater to everyone. And if you want to play the game how it's supposed to be played and how they intended it to be played in their way, no one's stopping you doing that. But give people the option to, which is a hard thing to do with these type of games. I understand that there's a very fine balance you need to play. But I think that is the only, when you read everything, that is the only sort of criticisms that you're seeing. That, and I saw that there should be a journal log, like a quest log, and there isn't. And it's a lot. And in typical FromSoft fashion, they expect you to work it out, but because it's an open world, it's nigh on impossible to work out some of the things. So I think that's all we're seeing from the critique side of things, and everything else just seems to be gushing over this game. So
so
they've knocked it out of the park.
I think it was when I read. I mean, obviously, we were all looking forward to this, and I think particularly has been looking forward to this for a long time.
Absolutely.
And I always knew, like, it was going to be a good game, and obviously it's a From Software game, and it's going to be doing something different. I think there was a lot of the time we were thinking, can it work like as well as the other games, considering they're so tightly designed, and this is open world? Can they pull that off? But I think it was after I read that interview with Miyazaki in Edge, and it was like a proper in-depth interview with him, and like, what he's trying to do with the game, and that's where I came off the back of it. And I said to you before, I was like, I think this could be their game. I think this could be the one. I think this is going to be their best game yet, and I think this could very well be the game of the year. And yeah, seeing all the stuff today, I'm just like, wow, yeah, I think they've actually pulled it off. And not only that, or the one thing I didn't expect is how much pull it's getting from me. And I'm just like, I knew I was, I've said this 100 times, the From Software games are the best games that I've never played. I know obviously I've played a bit of the original Demon's Souls and a bit original and a bit of the remake. And I know I will go through them all at one point, but what I'm seeing from Elden Ring is literally everything that I want in a game. Like, if you asked me to design like checkbox all your favorite things about a game, I think I would come up with something like Elden Ring. The fact that it's obviously I love open world games, but I love games that one thing I don't like a lot about open world games is when they are completely, you're just literally like ticking off checklists. I hate that. Yeah. I hate like you're just being steered in this, like you feel like you just got overwhelming amount of stuff to do. Oh, got to do that, and I'm just like literally just being like pushed along. I like being just left to myself, do what I want to do, discover stuff. I love that it has no points on the map. Love that. Because that's another thing I have a gripe with as well. Like I love that there's a map and it's just like just go get lost in it, go explore. Similar to again Breath of the Wild.
Skyrim is very much that way.
Skyrim was that way. But
when you first open the map up in Skyrim, apart from the cities, there wasn't anything on the map, and you had to go. You're right. You're right. Absolutely, you do get that. But also, going back to all the From Software games, like I love games like, like BioShock and particularly more like Half-Life, which that these games have deep amount of story and lore, but it's not chucked in your face. You have to go
got
find
cutscene after cutscene. Yeah, it's like there if you want to find it. It's in the environment. It's in the storytelling through the NPCs and stuff like that. I love that. I don't like being spoon-fed like narrative. I just like to go and find stuff out myself. I like that in any kind of media, films, TV, anything. And yeah, it just seems to be ticking all of those boxes. Like the fact you can just get lost in this world and just discover things, and people are having these conversations of like, have you found this thing? And like, I love everything about it. And yeah, I'm. So here's the thing, you guys know I've been quite looking forward to playing Gran Turismo 7.
Yes.
When it came out, and honestly, that's all I've been thinking about, because I've just been thinking Gran Turismo 7 comes out soon. That's gonna be my next game. I'm gonna get lost in that. It was just timing's right. But I tell you what, guys, I'm reading all the reviews and that today of Elden Ring, and I don't know, and I might even like give Vince the opportunity to pitch me right now to see if he can sway me on the next purchase. I don't know. I'll leave it to you guys.
Yours, Vince.
Floor is mine. Oh no.
Well, to try and pitch it to Terry, like before I give my opinion.
Like again, Vince, you know how much experience I've got. Like my idea was that I was going to play through Demon Souls and then either down the line go to Dark Souls or maybe go to Elden Ring. But now I don't know. Like I don't know what you think.
So here's the thing, right, Terry? Here's the thing. Elden Ring is going to be an experience that you're going to have.
It's like he's on the
like once in a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Until it's going to be what?
Until they make a second, which they absolutely will, because this is going to sell a shit ton.
They might. FromSoft is very particular, right? Like the only sequels we've gotten to any other games, at least the Soulsborne franchise, have been Dark Souls 2 and 3, right? We've only singularly gotten, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Demon Souls, but I digress. The whole Demon Souls was a different thing about exclusivity and PlayStation not wanting to give them the name, so they made Dark Souls instead. Been over that, talked about them, whatever. So Elden Ring is going to be pretty much a closed-off experience, right? It's going to play similarly to the Dark Souls, Demon Souls format, but it's probably a good jumping off point, right? You can jump in, have no knowledge of the previous games or how they play or anything like that, and you'll be fine. You'll be totally fine, right? From a lore perspective, completely new. Same with a Bloodborne and Sekiro.
That's one of the things that, I feel it's pulling me into it. The fact that it is, a whole new thing. It's like I've not got to worry about not playing any of the Dark Souls games. I can just jump into this, same as anyone else, and I'm kind of fresh with it. And that is definitely one of the factors that I'm quite keen on.
Yeah, so you really don't have to have any prior experience with any of the Souls games to jump right into Elden Ring. You might notice similarities to combat from Demon Souls, obviously, since you played Demon Souls. But really, that's just kind of Souls combat in a nutshell. It's all fairly similar, but they keep adding mechanics each iteration to vary it up. So if you're going in with that kind of knowledge, you'll be fine. Like, if this is the open world experience you were looking forward to, I would absolutely say pick up Elden Ring. Because I mean, yeah, you're gonna get that, experiences you've been missing with GT7, right? Of diving into your car, doing whatever you do in those video games.
Race.
But, yeah, you get the race aspect of it, but
Tinker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quite
Elden
like
Ring's
the
gonna
idea.
be unique, I think.
I quite like the idea as well of like, that everyone's kind of jumping into it now at the same time.
Mhm.
And obviously, I know that you're going to be playing it and being able to have those conversations with you and anyone else that are playing it, like saying, "Oh, have you done this yet? Or have you discovered that?" And that's quite cool. Like especially people are going to be discovering stuff like for going on and on like for from this year forward. So that is a big aspect of it as well.
Oh yeah, like any person's first time into a Souls game. I haven't had that experience personally because I've obviously played them later than when they release. Playing one on release is going to be an experience all on its own, right? Because you talk about those water cooler moments of, hey, I discovered this, or did you know if you go here, you find this object and whatever, right? Or I found this NPC over here who, I've talked to and gave me a quest or whatever. All sorts of cool shit like that, right? I'm excited, but I'm also a little afraid, right? Because it depends on how many spoilers of that's going to be online. But also at the same time, it's just like, that's going to be such a cool experience. Watching others have a similar or a very different experience than I have. Because that's the power of Souls games, right? Like, you can go through the entire game, think you've seen everything, and you haven't even scratched the surface. And it's amazing, right? That's the appeal, yeah? Because it's not like they hide stuff, but it's just dependent on like how you play and what you do. All the choices are up to you from the start, right? Even your starting class. Like, yeah, you can choose a starting point for your character, but, leveling up is entirely up to you. Like, you can go in as a mage, but then become a tank, right? It just depends on how you level. You don't necessarily have to stay on the path you start as. But let's be real, everybody's probably just going to choose tank anyway, but we'll see.
I suppose the other perspective on this, you've got Vince, you're a pretty die-hard, like, this is your shit, Like, yeah. And then you've got Terry, who hasn't jumped into that world, but is really keen on the whole aspect. And then there's myself, who isn't necessarily interested in that type of game. So, but obviously it's a new game, and I love reading the reviews. I love I love that this game is good, or supposedly good, because I just want games to be good. I don't care if it's a game that I like or not. That's the great thing about games. But my perspective on this is that I love the idea of the open world where there's nothing on the map. Because one of my favorite things to do in games is explore. So I love that. But knowing that it's a Souls game in the sense of, a Souls-like game is such a block for me. Of knowing that I'm probably, as I know myself, not going to enjoy the combat aspect of it at all. Like, I just don't know if the payoff is there, because it's such a huge part of the game, obviously. Like, and I want to. This is the first time with any of these games that I want to play the game. But I won't. I'm not going to go throw 60, 70 quid on a game that I might play for half an hour and go, no, this isn't for me.
I don't like from what I'm seeing from the reviews. It's like,
and it's hard.
Like this is as I thought it would be. This doesn't do anything new. It's very much a Souls game. It's like very much all of their stuff put together, like, to make this thing.
I think the only thing you can do now is you can fast travel away from a fight that you're struggling with, and come back to it later. But
So if you don't like the fundamentals of the of the combat and stuff like that. I think that is all the same. So like, I don't think this is going to be the one that's gonna sway you. You know, like I think that's going to be still.
Yeah. I think if this game becomes a game that either ends up on some sort of subscription, like PlayStation Plus, like a year down the line or whatever, like, which I don't think it would for a long time.
I don't see that happening. Yeah.
I don't think any of the Souls. I think maybe some of the Souls games ended up on PlayStation Plus at some point. I'm not sure, but if
Bloodborne is part of the PlayStation
collection, exactly.
PS5,
but if I'm not bothered by that one, if Elden Ring became
Bloodborne's so good though.
But if Elden Ring became one of those games, and there wasn't a financial risks to it, then I'd give it a go just to see what it's all about. Like, because the open world entices me more than any of the other games. Like, and I think that might be something that I would find enjoyable.
I think that's the thing as well. That's just really pushed me over the edge. It is that world, and I love deep world building. The fact that George
I'm a sucker for it.
And developed all that lore, and I just love the idea of like going around and like exploring this world, and then going on like forums and stuff like that, and people discussing like finding all these little bits of like intricate history, and I just love all that. I nerd out about that stuff so much, and it's like that's the thing that's really like doing it for me. Like, I love all that.
Yeah, and then I'm just hoping that it's not one of those reviews that they do, because I know everyone's only had like a week with the game or whatever, or blah blah blah. They haven't been.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how little time they were given.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that when people do their long runs, that it holds up for everyone and stays the same thing, which I'm pretty sure it will. So.
I'm absolutely certain that whatever people think of it now, they'll think of it in a much better light in a week's time, to like a month's time. Yeah, absolutely.
A question for you two as well. I know because we've had a joke with conversations, and we talk about it all the time. It's one of the things you just do when you talk about gaming, is obviously Game of the Year contenders and Game of the Year. Like, and I know Vince has said straight away that he thinks this will be a Game of the Year contender, like for what he's seen. He hasn't played it yet. I'm trying to think, did any of the other Souls games ever win one of the big Game of the Years?
Sekiro.
Sekiro won Game of the Year, did it?
Did it?
Sekiro won Game of the Year at the Game Awards. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was trying to think. I was trying to think if a Souls-like had won a Game of the Year. I think you're right about Sekiro.
Sekiro for sure.
It's a difficult year, though. It is a difficult year. I'm not saying it hasn't got a chance. I think it's got a very good chance. But which kind of brings me on to the next story. Is I don't know if you guys saw it today, but the heavy rumor is that there'll be a PlayStation show next month, and it'll be the release date of God of War.
No chance.
No, I still think that there's no way that God of War comes out this year.
I didn't say that. I'm saying it's the release date trailer, and that's what it'll be. And if they're doing a showcase for it, you imagine that it's going to be. I think it will. Now I'll answer it. I do think it'll be this year, because otherwise they would just release a statement. They wouldn't do a showcase for it.
I'd be very, very surprised if it came out this year. But even so, I'm so confident in Elden Ring that I was confident before, and now after seeing the reviews, I undoubtedly think that this will be the Game of the Year.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
As we get closer.
I've looked it up, and I found a timeline for Soulsborne games. Right. Sekiro Game of the Year, Game Awards. Right. Dark Souls 3 Golden Joystick Award 2016 Game of the Year. Let's see.
Who does the Golden Joysticks? Is that DICE? Or is it just its own thing?
That's
I think it's its own thing, yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Best Original Game, PlayStation Game of the Year for Bloodborne at the Golden Joystick Awards. Japan Game Awards, Award for Excellent.
No,
when
just
I
Game of the
say,
Years, because they've
when
won
I
loads
say
of
Game
That's
awards.
Game of the Year. That's their Game of the Year. Yeah.
When I say Game of the Year, I don't mean like just the Game Awards, like, because I can't really care less about.
You've got your BAFTAs.
I just mean in general, like, it's just going to be the consensus that it is like, yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I don't know. I have nothing to go off with it, but I will be interested to see if there is a PlayStation show next month and they do show that God of War release date. That'd be interesting to see when that is.
Mm.
Because I think it will be this year, and maybe that's my optimism. But I don't think they'd do a show if it wasn't.
Yeah.
This early in the year as well. I think you're looking at a back end November time, or maybe later. But
Potentially, yeah.
We'll see anyway. But I know we're not doing the longest podcast today because obviously Terry's battling through. So I kind of wanted to move on. Are we done with Elden Ring and that for now? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll keep you guys updated of where I go with this.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated of when it comes on sale.
You're not gonna play it. Let's be honest.
Hey, out of all of them, it's the one that I would play. And I've said if it becomes a free game in some way or a very, very discounted game, I will.
I'm sure you'll find it in the bargain bin in a month's time. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, once these reviews bomb and that, and no.
Yeah.
I have been busy with games though, while you've been sick, Terry, because I wanted to work through some games, and I have played 4 games. 4 big games as well.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go into a bit of detail in these, and I'm also going to review these properly and put them out on social as well.
Really?
Yes, really. Well, not all of them, but the first game I've been playing is a little game that you knew I was going to be playing, which was Sifu.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't finished Sifu, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. But I really do like the game. Like the game.
What is it hard?
Yeah, I think it is above my ability level in gaming. But it is the weirdest thing. I have so much fun even when I'm not doing great in it. You feel like a badass. But then when I get to some of the bosses, and this is my issue with Souls games, but I think Souls games are at a different level, that it is brutal, how difficult it gets. And obviously there's no difficulty settings in that at the moment. The story is really interesting. Let me tell you, I have never had combat in a game feel so good.
Really?
This game is so well made. The aging system, the leveling up, it's all absolutely top tier how they do it. And it's so clever that, for example, some of the more athletic moves, as you get older, you can't learn them because you're too old, basically.
Oh.
And you can permanently unlock things, a bit like you could in Deathloop, in the sense that you have to, your experience points, you'll pay for it once, and then some of them will require you to pay 5 times through one playthrough, to be able to, on a level or whatever, or if you go for a few levels, to unlock it permanently. And then when you die and restart the level, you restart with that skill. But the skills are really helpful, and your upgrades and the way that you can go, for example, and this is the first level, you go through the first level, you grind your way through it, and then you find a pair of keys, and then that unlocks a door near the beginning of the level, and you cut out 2/3 of the level. So you can find all these little secrets to get you through quicker, but the downside of that is you don't get the experience from that level. So you have to balance, okay, do I want to save my lives? Do I think I can make it through this and not lose too many lives? And then progress to the next level where I'm going to need those lives because it's a bit more difficult? Or do I want all that experience to try and farm up and get my skills? You have to make those choices throughout. And it is really good. You start at the age of, I think it's 21. Or 22 maybe. Sorry, I can't remember the exact starting age. And then you go all the way up into your 60s. But you have a death counter. So every time you die, your death counter goes up by 1. So obviously if you die the first time, you age 1 year. But the next time you die, if your death counter's at 2, you age 2 years. And then if you die again, your death counter becomes 3. And then you'll age 3 years. So it starts to ramp up. But you can lower your death counter by some of the enemies you take out. If they're glowing, you can lower it. Or sometimes some of the mini bosses. So you can bring your death counter down. so you can bring it back down to 0 throughout the levels. So then, obviously, if you die again, it goes back to 1. But so there's so many mechanics in the game, and at first it is a bit overwhelming, but because it's very combo, it's very quick reflexes, it's blocking and parrying and dodging and then hitting the right combo at the right time. I think it's an incredible game, and it was my game of the year so far. Like when I played it, I'm still having so much fun with it, but I think the difficulty is just a little bit above me. When I get to the bosses, I really, really struggle. But it is a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I need to hold my hands up about this, and because I remember saying before it came out, and you were saying like, you know, it could be a game of the year contender, and before that point, I very much saw this game like when it was first shown at the PlayStation experience, PlayStation showcases. Like, wow, this looks like a really like when we first saw it, it was all completely like floored by the look of the combat. It just looked so cool. But I literally just thought it was going to be a game which had cool combat in it, and that's all there really it was going to be to it. But when it came out, and you know, hearing people play it and talk about it, and I see like some people playing it, watching some playthroughs and stuff, like I was actually stunned at how good like the art direction is in it, like how fantastic. Stylish it is, how well it's put together. I mean, it really is like a really slickly put together game.
The music's incredible as well.
Yeah, it's just brilliant. It's just like, you know, everything about it, the way it works. But yeah, I feel like, and I do want to play this one day, but I feel like I might be in the same camp as you, Adam, in that not necessarily like, you know, just pure difficulty, because like, you know, like as you said, you comparing it to the Souls games. Like the Souls games are difficult, but the thing with the Souls games is like, once you like through repetition, once you realize like patterns and like, you know, boss movements and stuff like that, you can figure things out. It's just a case of like learning it. But with games like Sifu, like you said, the one thing that I've heard from a lot of people and what they've been struggling with is the overwhelming amount of moves and combos and having to, and that I don't know if I have the capacity for that, because any games that are like that, I can't store it all in there. Like in the moment, I can't remember all those different combos. That's why I suck at fighting games. So if I played so much Street Fighter, I can't remember everyone's moves and shit. I just can't do it. But yeah, like that's the thing. I reckon I would struggle through playing through this.
It is one of the harder bits, but the general like in between is what makes this game so good. Like the scene that's on the screen now on the Twitch channel is the in the tunnel, the hallway, and that is that moment where we saw in the trailer where the camera becomes a platform style camera. It comes sideways, and you've got if you have a weapon, it could be I don't know, a lead pipe or whatever at that time, if you've managed to bring it with you, which is another thing, finding weapons for different areas and stuff like that. And you just were walking through there and doing these incredible, like hitting them in the stomach, smacking them over the head, then doing the finishing move on them, and you're just wailing through like 40 of them in this tunnel. They're throwing stuff at you and you're dodging out the way. You will not feel as much like a badass as you do playing this game. Like the scenes, like, and you find yourself thinking in different ways. Like there's, for example, the second level is set in a nightclub. That's no spoilers for anything. It's just a setting, and you find yourself struggling through a little part of where you could easily take them out with the weapon there, but I know what's in the next room, and there's like 20 of them in the next room. So these 3 people, I'm going to try and manage. And it is how you manage. You have to kind of see where they're at, and you're backing up. And it's the closest I felt to fighting in a game where there's actual fighting logic to it. Because you're trying to keep them at distance. You're seeing where they're coming from. And you're taking them out. You get them up against the wall. You try and keep the other one separate. And then I take them out, and I might take a few hits, but I know if I can get the finisher on them, which is like triangle and circle together, you just do a quick combo, you gain a little bit of health back. So I can take the hit because I know I'm going to get it back. Then I can pick up the weapon and I walk into the main room and there's 20 of them, but I've got a lead pipe and I can take them out like with 2 hits, 2 strong hits, finish them, 2 strong hits, finish them. And I can work through a big chunk of them. And then because I've upgraded some of my skills, if there's a chair or something on the floor, I can click R1 and it kicks it at them. He'll kick the table into their legs, but he'll push it, or he'll kick a chair at them, or if someone throws a bottle, I can catch it and throw it back because I've upgraded that skill. And you start off shit, basically, and the more you play and the more you grind, and for me, that is a totally new concept. I don't play grinding games. But I'm not a big fan of it. I don't play games with the repetition so much. That's why I never played Hades, for example. Doing run after run after run, those games never really appealed to me, even though great game. This is the first time I'm enjoying going, okay, yeah, I'm going to push now, even though I wanted to get out of here in my 20s, I'm going to push through to my 50s and 60s. I want that experience. I want to learn what's coming. And then press start, go back to the beginning. Once you get a few little shortcuts, you can cut out a lot of the level. So much fun. I implore anyone to just give this game a go, because I don't think you'll feel as much of a badass in any other game that I know of.
That's the thing about it. It does have that.
It's so cool.
That feeling, like, you know, the only thing I can compare it to, obviously very different kind of looking game, but Hotline Miami, when you're like when you're in the zone and you just cleared out a room and that music's thumping in that, and you just feel like it's like the adrenaline rush, you know, and yeah.
And this is a very kind of like loose transition to it, like, but the way this game makes you feel the most for me, without the guns, like, is John Wick.
Yeah.
The way that
it's so funny. Watch that last night.
Yeah, and it is exactly the same when he's fighting and he takes the punches, but that's to put them in a position where he can finish them. And when he has all the enemies, and it's how he controls the crowd.
And using the environment.
Using the environment, I'll smash the heads again. Like, if you're near a table or something and you're hitting them, his finisher might be smashing the head against the table, like, and then continuing. Like, the game is so good. Like, and it's a shame where it's come out, because it's come out with Horizon just after it, and now Elden Ring, and I think it will get lost a little bit in those games. But it has every right. I hope it gets nominated for some awards at the end.
I'm sure it'll be in the conversation, absolutely.
Because it is a really good game. Vince, are you interested in playing this game, or?
Maybe eventually. We'll see.
Great, good comment. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next on my list of games, which one do I go to? We're gonna, this is a big one, I guess. It is Cyberpunk 2077.
Wow.
Played to credits.
Whoa. Holy shit. Get that one quiet.
That game is finished. I've been chugging away. They've just done a big update, the 1.5 patch.
Yeah.
So
I was tempted to jump into the because isn't you get like first 5 hours free or something like that?
I don't know.
I was like, I want to check it out, but yeah.
So I have completed the game. This game is still buggy, but is much more playable. Like much, and do you know what? The driving in this game is appalling.
Really?
It is the worst open world driving I have ever seen.
That's crazy.
Like, and that's
didn't they have like a racing game development team like doing the driving? I'm sure. Or was that?
I'm sure
else?
they said they did, but they definitely didn't. Like, it is so you can turn like 90 degrees in your car. Like, the brakes barely work. Like, you just like it's like arcade. It's like Mario Kart within an open world. That it doesn't feel real in any way. Like, it's ridiculous. The AI of the traffic's ridiculous. The roads are usually quite thin, so it's not like you're just stuck in traffic all the time. Like, and you can't fit through because the cars are like boats. They're all massive. Like, if you get a motorbike, it's okay. Apart from the handle in a motorbike is you might as well just shoot yourself in the head because you're gonna die. Like, it's and it's such a big part of the game. You're always moving around. What I will say is, with the update, the cutscenes and a lot of the interactions are very well like designed and done, and the voice acting is mostly really, really good. And the shooting and the gameplay mechanics are actually really enjoyable. It's just I started playing it on the PlayStation 5, and then I moved over to the PC because I wanted to see what it was like on the PC. So I bought it on the PC as well, and the PC is so much better.
Yeah.
And I was looking at the specs of it, and I have a decent PC, but my PlayStation 5 should be able to, do a good job with this. But it just doesn't work on a console, I don't think. The difference is staggering.
So what on your PC, what settings are you playing it on?
Ultra high.
Oh, what? So everything's
ray
maxed out?
tracing, yeah, and it can handle it.
Does it look real good?
No, it does. It does.
Okay.
It does look really good, but the bugs just take you out of it. Like cars just don't act normal, and the draw distance still isn't fantastic. But I think that's more of the design of the map. I think they've done it. It's a bit like in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, where they put the mist over the land so you couldn't see how small the map was. They just put so many big buildings. You can never tell where you are. Unless you go out into the outer areas. You don't. You have no idea really where you are. You're just following a really bad map that tells you at the last minute when you're turning. And what I will say though is, it's some of the most fun moments I've had in an open world, because they've kind of the jokes that they put in there and the humor in there is actually really interesting and really good. And I think it's a well-written game. I just think you're already going in. I think now it's difficult because you're going in looking for bugs almost. You're going, okay, let's... Is it something
that can, with the bugs, that can be sorted in time?
Yeah, now I think it's much more playable. Bear in mind, I had this game when it first came out and I couldn't play it. So I got the refund because it crashed every couple of minutes. And I only had one crash in the whole time I played on the PlayStation 5, which was about 10 hours. So instantly that was better. And I haven't had a single crash on the PC. So the game is much more stable, and they've added a lot in this 1.5 update. They've added new things. They've added, you can buy different apartments. There's quality of life stuff. They've the accessibility they've added in there as well. Because there's big problems when the game came out that it was triggering a lot of seizures because it had a lot of flashing lights in certain scenes. When you put a headset on, it was flashing all the time, and it became a really big problem. The issue this game has is its history, because you go in kind of you're looking for things to go wrong. Not to say, oh, this is shit, blah, 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 blah. You don't want it to, but you're like, okay, let's see what bugs there are as I'm trying to play. You're going in apprehensive, not because of the game quality, quality in that style, not in the actual gameplay, just the quality of it. And Keanu Reeves is really good, though. As Johnny Silverhand. He's how they got him to say some of the stuff he says is beyond me, but they must have paid him a lot of money. But you have guns that talk to you and stuff like that. Very Who Framed Roger Rabbit-esque.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, so they do go out of the way and add a lot of humor. And there's, in the same way that there is with Elden Ring, I presume, you have a lot of stuff on the map, yeah, but there's so much stuff to find. And so many Easter eggs and cool equipment that you can get and cool weapons that you can get. But if I know we don't do review scores, and I very much agree with that, but I wouldn't recommend this game for anyone to pay money for.
That's
like, I think
big
if it became free, like I said, and I'm not putting this in the same ring as Elden Ring. That Elden Ring is just that for me. I think Elden Ring absolutely is definitely worth the money that people are going to pay for it. I don't think this game is. I don't. I think
even like So like, what's it like just in terms of just wandering around and like being immersed in that world? I mean, does it look good still? Like just to go from the environments and go into the clubs and the streets and that, or not?
Okay, so you can't go in many buildings.
Really?
So there's a lot of, it looks like you can, but then it's copy and paste, or there's not much in it. When you go into some of the environments, they're quite unique. But it's a very dark game. The interiors are usually pretty dark and gloomy and steampunky. Like, so when you have the contrast, when you go out to the wildlands, I can't remember what they call it, the Badlands or whatever it was, they're much more contrast. They're very open and very bright. And I think what doesn't help this game is another game I've been playing. So that in contrast is just so much better. The other two games are both fantastic. The issue, and when you're saying about the immersiveness, there isn't any, because I think what they've done with this update is they've tried to put as many people on the map as possible to get it look like it did in the original trailer. And I think when you remember when this game came out, they didn't, and it showed them walking down the steps, and instead of there being like 100 people and cars going past, it was about 4 people and a car floating down the road.
Yeah.
Well, now they've just put so many people in the world that are copy and paste quite often, like that you kind of bump into a little bit, like where you do bump into them, but there's just you don't speak to them or anything. They're just there. They just get in the way. It's the same with the cars. There's so many cars in the world, but they just get in the way. It doesn't become like GTA 5 does it really well as a living world. There's always people around, but there's never too many people around. And there's always cars around, but there's never too many cars around. They've got that balance really well for an open world, modern environment game. Cyberpunk have gone from one extreme to the other. But what I will say is it's probably worth some money on PC, because there's a lot of mods you can put into the game that make it work a lot better. Like I don't really play around with mods, but looking through, I started to look at what people were doing mod-wise, and there's a whole mod to change the whole driving mechanics, make it more realistic. You can change the AI behaviors in driving to make it more realistic. The community are fixing this game more than the developers are, which is a worry, but people have had, I'm guessing, a year of trying to fix this game, so... Whereas obviously on console we can't really do much. So yeah. Vince, any questions or nope?
Oh no, do not give a shit about Cyberpunk.
Okay, great. This is really this is one-sided. Next we have Dying Light 2. Stay Human. Played and completed.
Wow.
So
You've been busy.
I have been busy trying to get these so I can review them. I want to start doing reviews. So, and I didn't think I was going to like this game, because I've tried to do Dying Light quite a few times, like, and I've got to the same point basically every time and just never played it again. But I really enjoyed this game. It has its flaws, but the mobility and the free run in this game is the best free running I've ever seen in a game. It is
Mirror's Edge, eat your heart out.
Yeah, and I loved Mirror's Edge. I never played the second one, so...
No, I haven't, but the original, the free running I loved.
But this is better. But you can tell that it takes a lot of the inspiration from Mirror's Edge. And the way you can upgrade your skills, so you can jump further, you can wall run, you can, like, when you leap over something and you roll, you can then leap off it and the way you land and roll, and you can add all these things, the traversal never gets boring. And now that they've got a paraglider in their aspect, like because apparently every game needs to have that now. It's a lot of fun. The thing that lets this game down is the combat with the zombies, because it's just not difficult. Like, and I don't mean difficult as in I want it to be ruthlessly difficult. It's very easy to traverse away from zombies. They added this mechanic in it, which is called the chase mechanic, which when you do it the first time is actually really interesting. If a screamer like notices you and screams, it'll trigger a trace, and you have to get to one of the UV lights, which, wherever, depending where you see it, could be 400 meters away, could be 2.7 kilometers away, or whatever. And they are chasing you, and the longer that it takes to get there, the bigger and faster the horde gets that's chasing you. And you panic your way through it. You're leaping, you're zip wiring, you're trying to set traps as you're going along. And you do it the first time, and then, which is obviously a story triggered one. And then because you can avoid almost anything, because the screamers are never on the rooftops, they're always on the ground. And I never need to go on the ground. Never had to do a chase again. Like, never had to do it.
Is that not, like, is that not zombies, though? Like, zombies are always meant to be, like, easy by themselves. Like, you know, like, they're not meant to be, like, a hard target.
Exactly.
They're not meant to be able to get up on roofs.
But the zombies do get on the roofs. But
Right.
But the screamers don't. So, the one thing that can make them difficult doesn't happen on roofs.
Okay.
So you just hop along the roofs. What I will say is the voice acting in this game is very good. You got Rosario. Is it Rosario Dawson?
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
Fantastic in this game.
We'll be talking about her in a minute when we Vince.
We sure will.
Okay. Anyway, like,
No spoilers.
well, big spoiler because I have seen Mandalorian, so I know who
Fair,
she is as a character. And Vince has already spoiled a big chunk of Boba Fett for me before it came on air. Like, which,
It was 2 episodes.
Vince.
It was 2 episodes.
I said to him, like, spoilers if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett. We're not talking about that yet because I've got another game to talk about. Vince said, am I going to watch it? And I said, I don't know. Do I need to watch it? Because I like The Mandalorian, will I need to watch it before the next season of Mandalorian? He said, yes, because the last 2 episodes are just The Mandalorian. I'm like, well, you've just spoiled the fucking last 2 episodes of the show.
The 2 before the last episode.
To be fair, that's not really a spoiler. I mean,
you can talk about spoilers, like, we know your type of spoilers, like, but anyway, that we will get to that. But Dying Light 2, I would recommend. I think it is a lot of fun to play. The story is a little paint by numbers in places. The story isn't great, but the gameplay makes up for it. I had so much fun playing this game. It was one of those games that was quite hard to put down. And because I was playing this at the same time as Sifu, very different games and both very enjoyable in different ways, but the freedom of this and actually being good at this game was a nice change of pace to just get my ass kicked.
This game was kind to you. Like, this was like the good cop in the relationship.
Exactly, yeah. Like, and visually, it actually looks really, really good. It's a very pretty game to play. Not as pretty as my 4th game, which is Horizon Forbidden West. Like, I am nowhere near the end of this game. I am only about 10 hours in, and I have been just doing side missions and exploring and doing bits of the game. And I know that both of you want to play this game, so I'm obviously not going to go into anything that I've been doing story-wise at all. What I will say, and I can say this confidently, it is the best looking game I have ever played in my life. The game
I believe
is
it.
So...
It looks too good, like criminally good.
Yeah. I'm not a bit... Well, I am, in a way. Like, I don't know why I've still got that on Unlimited. Like, I do like photo mode in games, but I'm not obsessed with it. But in this game, man, the amount of times I'm stopping and just taking photos, and the photo mode is really good. Really, really good. But I'm playing it in what mode am I playing it in? I can't remember what they call it. For how it looks. So like the visual, it's got a word. I can't remember what they call it. But anyway, so I'm playing for that, the fidelity and stuff like that, and it's
no game should look this good.
It is ridiculous.
Like on console, this
how
is like
breathtakingly beautiful it is. Like,
and again, I said this before it came out. This will be the benchmark. God of War, and I don't know how they've done it because God of War will not. It's weird because like when this came out and then God of War came out and it like upped it, but there's no way God of War will be able to compete with this visually. And I don't think anything for a while. I can't see anything competing with this visually. This will be the benchmark. What they've done is stunning, and apparently everyone's saying like the PS4 version looks really good too.
Yeah, I was looking at some comparisons. Obviously, you can see the differences. But for a PS4 game, I do not want to know what this sounds like on a PS4. The PS4 must be begging for help, like every aspect of this game, because this is phenomenal, and how vast it is the thing. Now, to put this into context, I really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. But the thing I struggled with the most is I didn't really care about the story. I wasn't that invested in it. I just enjoyed exploring, and jumping and all of that. The story in this, the story in this is so much better so far. And Aloy has now got a confidence about her because of everything that transpired in the first game, which we've all completed. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. I haven't done Frozen Wilds.
No, the Frozen Wilds don't really affect the what I'm talking about. And Vince, you said yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously she becomes the hero, saves the day, blah, blah, blah. And she carries that kind of confidence to sometimes borderline, not arrogance, but kind of like impatience, because she's like, you know who I am and you know what I've done, so just trust me. Like, and the aspects of people want to travel with her, and she's just like, I really work better on my own. And having that self-confidence and the surety, like, if anyone's going to come with me, you're going to slow me down. Like, and to see her adapt and to see her, which she does in the first game, but to see that now be the starting point of the second game is really cool. You already start feeling like a badass. Like, and it's 6 months after the first game, so she not a huge amount has changed. So she's just, they fill it in quite quickly what she's been doing, which if you finish the first game, you kind of know where that ends, and you kind of know why she's going west, but to the Forbidden West, as it's called. Yeah. The bit I didn't like in the first game was when you were playing as young Aloy. Like, because I had to play that bit twice because I stopped playing the game and then went back to it and I didn't have a save file and I had to do it again. And it's so limiting. And to be able to start from a point where you can do what you can do. You don't have all your equipment, but you can do what you can do. And then obviously the things that they've added are actually really good. Like the glider and stuff like that, which we saw in the trailer. Like, it isn't a cheat to get around the map. Like, you still have to put the work in, but it is interesting how they add that mechanic, and everything's just bigger and better.
What's the swimming like?
Really, really good. I would say it's probably the best swimming I've seen in a game, and like in this style of game. I can't think of a game that has better swimming. Like, the way that you can move through the water and the way how that feels. I haven't got to any of the big, vast water bits, but and they don't make a thing out of it. You just go into water and start swimming. like whenever you want. They don't. It isn't like, oh my god, now I can swim. Like the way that they add the new machines as well is really cool, and they're all really well designed. And when you walk into towns, because like from where the game starts, it's places that you're familiar with. Everyone knows you, and there's like you can see her uncomfortableness with this because people are like being really nice to her, and obviously she's not used to that. So it's a really cool dynamic. But this game is overwhelming, but in a nice way, because there is so much to do. But just getting around and everything is just so enjoyable. They've taken all the bits from Horizon Zero Dawn that worked really, really well, and they've just improved on them and added quality of life things and everything they've added so far. And I know with these games, they add, like, there's still quite a lot for me to unlock and find. I'm very early in the game, having some nice conversations with obviously characters that we know that return in the game, and the story's taking some interesting twists. But what I will say about this game, more than anything, more than the scenery, which the level, like the world design is fantastic, the facial animations in this game for every single character are out of this world good.
Yeah. And I remember that was one of the things that I was not.
I don't think they were very good in Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought they were very cartoony.
I know it was. When it was, I played it a few years after it being released, but it was a bit like everyone seemed a bit stilted and a bit like, like compared to the environments, not that great. But what I'm seeing from this is just astonishing. And did you guys see that tweet that was put out by the guy with the when they picked out
the hair on
like
her
facial hair?
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But like, I mean, that just says it all. The fact that the faces look so realistic that you can actually see the like minimal like facial like hair. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's not just on Aloy. Every character is like that. Like one of the things,
because every human has that on their face.
Exactly. But I'm on about like the wrinkles, the blemishes. Like, every character looks like a real person. Like, which I think is a testament. They're not just NPCs. Even people that you don't even get to talk to if you don't want to. You can just go near. Like, but what I will say is, and if when you get the game, just play around with photo mode. Not even to take any photos, because if you put face paint on Aloy, which you can do from the photo mode menu, you can add all the different face paints that you've unlocked. You can add them on, change facial expression, change poses, whatever. If you zoom in on the face paint, you can see the cracks in the paint, the individual cracks, the individual bits that have dried a little bit harder than the other bits. The smudges, you can see it all. Like, you can see the strokes, like where it's thicker to thinner and stuff like that. The level of detail in this game, like, blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And it's a difficult game, Horizon, but it's a rewarding game. Like, absolutely loving my time with it. And so far it is my game of the year. It does beat Sifu. Like, wow. And I didn't think it would be, because I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, but I never put it in the game of the year category. Cause like it was a game that was lost in. I came to that later than it came out. I played it a little bit, didn't catch me. Then obviously, and what we say this was 2017. So then you're going into Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War coming out the next year. There was big games coming out, and it just it got lost in that pile for me. And I only came back to it maybe 2019, like 2020 maybe, and that's when I really enjoyed it. But this game, it was a day one release. Yeah. And
I feel like, and although we were saying like it's going to have this problem where it's gone up against Elden Ring so closely in release dates and there's similar kind of games, I do feel like though it will have, I hope anyway, that it will have more of an impact than the first game had, being cross-platform, being on PS4 still, and on like I think that makes the difference. That
That's scary though. That this is on PS4. Imagine if if they didn't have those shackles.
Yeah, I know, but but somehow it doesn't look like there has been any shackles from this. It's
it's ridiculous.
It's I don't know how they've done it.
I imagine load times must be.
It's some weird thing that I've never seen before. Yeah, because somehow it's a cross-platform game, but it seems to be the one game that is like pushing it. Like this is the game that you expect that next gen jump to be. You know, it's like this is the game when you were like looking to see what the next gen looks like. Oh shit! Like, you know, if you saw like trailers, well, we did see trailers for it, but like it's the one that's delivered. Like it's the one that's like, fuck, this is like where we're going. Like, but yeah, it's still on PS4. Like it's just what it's kind of blown that argument out of the water for me. Like in terms of like. And it's, you know, if it's like a last gen version.
It's incredible. You look again, I know Vince is going to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about the game itself. But Miles Morales was like one of those games when that came out, and people were raving over that game on how good that looked. And this is obviously was that a launch day, Miles Morales for PS5? Yeah, it was launch day, wasn't it? That was just PS5, wasn't it? Was that PS4 as well? It was PS5.
It was crossed.
Was it crossed?
It was crossed.
And they have just announced that Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine are going to be PS5 only.
Yeah, which is I'm excited for. But that was a cross game. But they said, how are they doing this? Because it wasn't. And when you looked at it, the improvements were there, and it is a really good looking game. But then you look at what Guerrilla have done, and you're right. You're then going, how have you done this? Like, how have you done this? Because you still have to be able to do this on the PS4. Like,
yeah,
and it shows it kind of it makes Insomniac's Miles Morales kind of pale in comparison visually, because it's like, okay, yeah, I can see how you've done that because
and I would
do this.
And I would understand if everyone was saying, yeah, the PS4 version, like, oh my god, like runs like shit and stuff like that. But from what we're hearing, it's just like they've done some weird kind of black magic.
Yeah, like, and I think it must have the load times must be a bit brutal on that. But the load times PS5 barely any. Obviously, you can be into game from clicking on it on a cold start to being in your game maybe 15 seconds. Like, it's quick, like, and it's vast.
Yeah,
and I spend more time just looking around, and the climbing's really good.
The thing that's exciting about this as well is obviously Herman Hulst being, you know, a veteran of Guerrilla, like him overseeing the studios and working closely with all of them, knowing that Guerrilla can do this, and obviously we know what Insomniac can do and what Naughty Dog can do, and Sony Santa Monica.
Yeah.
You know, you normally kind of put those kind of four together as like the kind of technical showcases and how they keep outdoing each other. And how they can all just share this info and like it just makes you excited for, like, you know, what Insomniac will be able to do now and like what Naughty Dog are doing. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy. It's exciting times.
It really is. And I think this my final point, because I know Vince especially wants to talk about stuff. Like, my final point on this is you kind of nailed it there. This is Guerrilla kind of stepping out into the limelight again on the next gen, and Horizon was very much at the end of the, like, getting towards the end of the PS4, like, but it was there. Like, this being so early in the PS5 and being this good, and what we know is coming with God of War, Wolverine and Spider-Man, it kind of shows that power that the PlayStation Studios have developed in that ethos of all kind of working together. But these games coming out now at such a high quality, and Xbox is starting to do that as well on their side of things. But it's just such a good place for gaming, because we went through that period, and it wasn't just Cyberpunk. Once Ubisoft start releasing games again, it'll be the same. Buggy messes. And we're having this period now with Elden Ring and Horizon and Sifu, even though it's a smaller game, it's still Dying Light. Games releasing in a really good state and really showcasing gaming at its best. And it's great to see where we've come from 2 years. And bear in mind, a big chunk of development on these games happened in COVID. You know, where they're doing the testing and the polishing, and you'd imagine a lot of this game would have been done before COVID hit, because these games take a lot of polishing and stuff like that. But we're now seeing companies work through those parameters and be able to release high quality games. The games that we know that are coming, you kind of like you feel a bit confident that they're going to be able to deliver. So yeah. Vince, any questions on Horizon, or do you not care about that game either?
Oh man, absolutely no questions.
Okay, fantastic. I'm so glad
I'll play it when I play it.
I'm so glad we do a trio podcast.
That really threw me. I did not expect that.
Yeah. All right, Vince. Let's.
No questions from the panel at this time.
Go on then, Vince.
Oh man, what have I been playing? 2 games actually, because Elden Ring's coming out. Don't want to bog myself down with a bunch of games that I'll obviously have to shelf once Elden Ring comes out. So let's go right off the top. Adam's mentioned it. I have rolled credits on Spider-Man Miles Morales for PS5. Let me tell you, I really fucking enjoyed that game. That's a really fucking good game.
It's a good game.
Obviously, Insomniac nailed Spider-Man on Spider-Man PS4. The swinging mechanics, combat, just kind of nailed that feel of Spider-Man. So going into Miles Morales, I was kind of expecting more of the same, swinging around the city, having a grand old time. Because Insomniac, they're pretty much just known for their movement, right? Their movement mechanics, how fluid they make everything feel, really. And yeah, you do get that, but you also, on top of that, get probably one of the best Spider-Man stories as well. I'll say it, for a good portion of it, because I was being a completionist and doing the checklist thing, right? Just going through, doing the bases, collecting collectibles, yada, yada, yada. I just couldn't help but think, damn, I could be watching Into the Spider-Verse and getting some better story beats. But that was me, obviously, sidetracking the main story in favor of doing collectibles, trying to get that platinum, which is a sticking point I'll get to a little later. But damn, once the story gets going, it gets going hard, and it hits you in all the right places. I mean, no spoilers, obviously, but damn, there are some moments that, got me.
Yeah.
The post-game collectibles really hit so fucking hard. Damn. They didn't have to do it, but they did it, and holy shit, they did it well.
We lost Vince.
Hopefully he'll come back, because that's just messed up our... Nope, that's just put me there.
I try to talk about something. Discord decides to restart.
Okay, I'll fix this. One sec. Keep talking.
Yeah, it's whatever.
I need
anyway,
to put you in the right place.
Yeah. Miles Morales. Anyway, the ending cutscene alone was just so good. And, man, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's really hard to talk about my favorite moments without spoiling anything.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah. I mean, at first, I did not like the villain. The twist of the villain was just so telegraphed that,
oh, yeah.
Does it even really matter that they're a villain? I just constantly thought, hey, is there going to be a second villain coming up? We'll see. But, damn. What they absolutely nailed with the villain side of things is making it very personal for Spider-Man. And I think they did that really well with PS4 and Miles Morales. Just holy shit. So, I loved it. Absolutely recommend you play it. Absolutely play Marvel Spider-Man first, but yeah, fucking play Miles Morales. It's so good.
Very, very good.
Now let's talk about trophies, because I obviously got the platinum in Spider-Man PS4. So I wanted to try and go for the platinum this time around. I did not get it, because what you have to do in order to get the platinum is go through New Game Plus.
Yeah. That's why I didn't get it. And it's the one game I really
Yep.
tried to go for because I had so much fun playing it. And then as soon as I saw this New Game Plus, I was like, nope.
No. It's not only New Game Plus, not only is there a trophy to beat the game in New Game Plus, but they lock skills and one suit behind New Game Plus. And gadget upgrades behind New Game Plus, which there are trophies attached to. Come on.
Yeah.
Insomniac, if there's one thing you should absolutely change for Spider-Man 2, don't lock shit behind New Game Plus. Especially, here's the thing. There's only 3 skills you can unlock in New Game Plus. There's 4 gadget upgrades you unlock in New Game Plus. There's 1 suit you can unlock in New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
That does not make an entire New Game Plus playthrough worth it. It does not, unless you really want a trophy hunt.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, maybe eventually I'll go back to it because it's a really fucking good game and I really liked it. But not anytime soon. Not with Elden Ring coming up. And the other game I played, which drew me in real hard, even though I was not expecting it to. Even though I heard the game was very good. But let's just dive right into Control.
Oh.
Because I have played and rolled credits on Control.
Interesting.
The Ultimate Edition for Xbox Series X. I make that caveat because I'll go ahead and get this complaint out of the way. It still does not run super great. It struggles sometimes, even with like the 4K resolution running on new generation hardware. The first time I played it a couple days ago, it crashed on me 3 times.
Is that a known thing then, Vince? Or
I don't know. I didn't look into it much, but it was just a minor annoyance. Luckily, it does save. I was able to pick up right back where I left off. So that was a little scary because I figured if it wasn't going to save, it wasn't going to be worth my time to finish the game. Luckily, it did. Also, coming back from the pause screen, there's a bit of a delay because I've had moments where I unpause, game kind of freezes for a second, but obviously you're still trying to move the camera and your character a little bit, and then it just jumps to where either you were looking or whatever. A bit jarring, but still shouldn't be something you have to like worry about, especially coming back from pause. Loading screen's not terrible, even on Series X hardware. Secondly, what's my other complaint? The fucking map. Oh. So it does this thing where it doesn't pause the game where you open the map, so you still like control your character.
Oh, okay.
It's just a 2D map, just kind of like right in your face. That's not the best, because I've had to just look for my character on the map, the little arrow that's red, because this game has a really really hard fetish for the colors red and gray, which makes sense. I'll get to things I liked about it here in a second. So it's this red triangle on a gray screen of your map that you can kind of barely see, especially since, again, the game does not pause when you're on the map. The map is fairly transparent on your screen, and it's not particularly large. You can't zoom in either. Like, why are you going to make a map where you can't zoom in? That's an issue.
Yeah.
Because they display the entire map on your screen. So, trying to find yourself, especially when you're in a corner, very confusing. A corner of the map, rather. Bit confusing. Waypoints, somewhat helpful on the map. Not in-game. You kind of have to learn your way around it, which, you can get turned around a good bit, but once you go through an area a couple times, you kind of memorize it a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think it was a game that raised more questions about design choices than it did. It was a game that I couldn't play because of a lot of those things that you mentioned. It just became more tedious than enjoyable, but
it kind of did. especially when you get pop-ups for side quests that are timed, which I do not like, because they could be in any of the random sections of the building, the Bureau of Control, the Federal Bureau of Control, I believe. It could be anywhere in the building. So you could be either, you gotta hope you're either near a fast travel point, or you can just say, fuck that side quest. Because again, they're timed. Just kind of brush it off or do it. And sometimes they give you a good amount of time, like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, but if you gotta pause the game and go walk the dog, that doesn't pause the timer. Timer's still going. Bit disappointing. A bit weird, yeah. Especially for a game that's, feels like you can actually take your time and do tasks rather than focus on the main story immediately. But I digress. I still really fucking enjoy the game. Honestly. Like, to the point where I want to go back and play Alan Wake. Because there are Alan Wake connections. I know. I gotta play it, especially after playing Control, because it's... Yeah.
Sorry, go.
For me, it's the mystery of it all, right? Like, there is this air of intrigue about this building and what the Bureau does. Because it's all, like, supernatural occult shit, which already has me in, because I'm kind of a sucker for that kind of stuff. But the way it handles its story is very interesting, because a lot of it is told through narration from Jesse, your character. Which, at first, I was fairly convinced that maybe Jesse might be a, I forgot the word, unreliable narrator, right? Like, she's telling the story from just her perspective, no one else's. So, is she telling the whole truth? What is the truth? What do we know exactly about this character? And throughout the game, it's just... It's that mystery that kept me going. Like, what's going on? Why exactly are we here? What are we doing? And discovering little tidbits about the Bureau and kind of the crazy conspiracy theories that are wrapped around in. It's so good. And the objects of power are just so interesting. Like, it can be, the way they explain it is they can be anything. So there was a quest where you had to go cleanse an object of power that was a rubber duck. Like, it's the weird shit like that, is almost like a joke, but it's taking so seriously. I don't know. I love it. Like, I definitely want to go back and play the DLCs for it, because, as I kind of mentioned, Alan Wake is mentioned directly in a collectible, like, especially the incident that took place in that game. And I've heard one of the DLCs he appears in. I'm not sure. But I kind of want to go back and play Alan Wake and do the DLCs for Control, because, I don't know. I liked it. Here's the thing, right? We talked about Souls games and accessibility at the top of the show.
Yeah.
And Control is a game that doesn't have difficulty options, right? I was partially expecting it to, but it doesn't. However, they did add an assist mode to the game. So in the settings, there's an assist mode that lets you turn on, like, one-shot kills, invincibility. You can adjust damage sliders. You can adjust your, like, weapon reload slider. It's very in-depth in that. And I think that's something that could very easily be applied to any kind of Souls game. Like, just because something is automatically designed hard doesn't mean you can't implement ways to make it easier, which I think Control did very well. Because, yeah, at a certain point, I was kind of getting tired of, repeatedly getting into fights that seemed a little unfair, and just kind of, like, repeatedly dying and dying. So I eventually turned, like, a couple of sliders up and just went through the rest of the game. But hey, that's what you need to do for a game. That's what you need to do. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I've just talked mostly about the story. The combat in the game is okay. Like, you eventually get abilities that let you like telekinesis, levitate, a shield that I never used. It was all right. Like, I again never use the shield. Use levitate a couple times to explore the areas, get through things. Mostly just use telekinesis because it's never not fun to throw shit at people in games like that. I mean, but what's most interesting is your main weapon, like your primary weapon, because it's a third-person shooter first and foremost, and you unlock different types for this weapon that can essentially just change form. Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe that. It changes form. Yeah, like one's.
It's a cool looking weapon.
Oh yeah, it's fucking really cool. There's like a shotgun variation, the charge mode, which I used constantly because that was real fun. Pistol, which is kind of the standard, which again use that a lot, and like two others. One spin, which is kind of like a machine gun, but it is not accurate at all. And there's like weapon mods and personal mods that enemies drop that you can equip, which each obviously have different tiers of common, uncommon, rare. There's two different levels. I know one's absolute, which is probably like the highest. That you need to modify the weapons, modify yourself, extra health, more accuracy for guns, things like that. But it's not super prominent, it seems. Or at least it seemed to utilize it a little bit throughout the game, but mostly just swapping out common stuff for rare stuff and then on up. Because that's kind of how I play games like that, right? You just want numbers to be bigger. Yeah. I mean, all in all, Control is very good. Like, I know I harped on it, yeah.
It's a game that's very much on my to play list, and I'm looking forward to it. I love Remedy's stuff. I played the opening section of it like back before it released when it was at EGX and stuff, and I loved it, and I thought this is great, and I loved how well it's been. Because I know it didn't sell well when it first came out, and but it's literally just been won loads of awards, and I think it's just grown this big player base over time, and I'm really glad that it's done well, and hope you see more from it as well.
Oh yeah, it's an underdog game for sure. And I mean, I'll be honest, if they're leading to like a Alan Wake Control universe, that'd be amazing. I would absolutely play those games. Yeah. Already confirmed, right?
Yeah, we've already sent like a brief little teaser trailer, haven't we?
We have. If Jesse pops up, then I'm going to be really excited. Yeah, Control, very good. Play it if you get a chance. I think I picked it up for like $10, $20 on sale. Yeah. Not bad. That was for the upgrade edition, yeah. Anyway, Terry, let's talk about what we've all came here to talk about.
I'll just face it away, shall I? Like, okay.
Let's talk about the Book of Boba Fett.
Let's do it.
Because I finally watched all of the Book of Boba Fett.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. Don't worry. The Mandalorian shows up. He has a lightsaber. That's fine.
Who's that? Who did you mention?
Mando. What the hell is his name? This is the way.
My new water bottle.
I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't super excited about it, which is kind of why I waited until all was out to watch it. Because I'll be honest, Boba Fett not my favorite character. Kind of really does nothing in the movies anyway. But I'll say it was a pretty good watch. Seeing it pick up from episode 6. Not a spoiler because, it's Boba Fett. Yeah. It's his story. It's the first episode, him crawling out of the Sarlacc pit. And then going on from there, and then obviously to the Mando stuff, to the finale, which I didn't really have a problem with. I found it really enjoyable. I don't care what Twitter says. The spin was unnecessary, but it's there. Whatever.
Yeah, so Boba Fett is my favorite Star Wars character. And I think a lot of that is because we didn't really know anything of it. That's what everyone likes about him. It's so mysterious. And I have been one of those people that have been like, be careful what you wish for, in the fact that people have always wanted like this story, and I think that the more you find out about these kind of characters, the less cool they become. And I didn't like what they did with Boba Fett as a character in this. I just
he didn't really get much characterization though, did he?
No, he didn't, and I just didn't like
He
the way
kinda,
that
like,
he
stood
was
around
kind
and
of
talked,
the way that he was portrayed, and the way that I know it's different. Like I heard these arguments that, and again, I'm not going to go into spoilers here, but obviously we know that he survives like from being being eaten by the Sarlacc, and other people argue that, well, after that has changed him, and he is different, because the Boba Fett we see in this series is not the Boba Fett that we've seen in the films. Like, in terms of his choices and his morals and stuff like that. And I just wasn't a big fan of it. But again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but this show was best when it was not centered around Boba Fett. And when it wasn't centered around Boba Fett, this done stuff that was literally up there with some of the very best of Star Wars. There were moments in this that were up there with like the finale of The Mandalorian season 2 that were just fantastic. Like there was 2 episodes in this series that were just like, this is what Star Wars is about to me. It was just absolutely fantastic. So many nods to the originals, the prequels. Like there was some really great stuff in there, and all it did is just made me really excited for Mandalorian season 3. And it was weird for a show to be the weakest parts to be the parts that were centered around the title,
the main character.
Yeah. Although you're right, I did enjoy the finale, and there was more but yeah, it was a really weird mixture. I feel like they could have done this very differently. I feel like Book of Boba Fett, the story of Boba Fett, could have easily been like this very small mini series of like 3 episodes, and then we could have easily like put these other episodes into The Mandalorian. That's what I just found really strange about it, because I think there's some episodes in this series that were absolutely essential to watch. Like, and if you watch The Mandalorian, or if you're watching, are we getting a Ahsoka series? It's going to be an Ahsoka series.
We are getting an Ahsoka series, yeah.
Yeah, like, and it's like they're going to be fundamental things to watch as part of that, and yet there's parts of it I just feel like you don't need to see it.
Right.
So
it's like watching the MCU, and then you get to Thor: Dark World, and you're just like, it's essential because it sets up Infinity Stones, but it's not great.
I know, it's weird. It's a weird way of doing it.
It's a bit weird, yeah. And I feel like it could have just been like, it probably would have been served best if it was maybe like a smaller anthology series, right?
Yeah.
Like we just had 1 episode of Boba Fett being, I guess, taking over Jabba's place. And then we could have little smaller vignettes. Like we could have just had a Mandalorian episode that was like an hour long that sets up for Mando season 3 and maybe a couple other things. But I don't know if we need a full 5 episodes of Boba Fett.
No, definitely not.
No, because he does nothing, it feels. Although I will say the flashbacks were probably the more interesting parts. Because I feel like that really expanded more on, I guess, lore side of Star Wars. Like a specific civilization, and seeing them in a new light actually was really interesting, seeing their culture and whatnot. But I don't know.
But I would much rather have, like, if you would say to me, like, we're going to do a Boba Fett series, I would much rather it be set before, like, Return of the Jedi. I want to show, I want to see what kind of shit he got up to. But then you might argue that you end up with a show that's very similar to The Mandalorian. But to me, that's what The Mandalorian was. It was like kind of plugging that gap. It's like, here's a Boba Fett show, but it's not Boba Fett. It's like, and in a way, they kind of made in my opinion now, they've kind of made The Mandalorian, like the character, a kind of more cooler character than Boba Fett. I don't know. It's
a weird spot, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's...
Yeah. It's weird. It's weird.
Bit weird. Granted, yeah.
Mm.
Can't wait for Obi-Wan though.
Oh,
John
man,
Williams
so hyped.
back.
I'm so
excited.
hyped.
Yeah.
So much Star Wars.
Yeah.
You watch Star Wars? Yeah.
No, I said so much Star Wars.
So much Star Wars.
We eating good. We eating good now.
We're eating good. Well, after Boba Fett, hopefully.
There's some other big
It really
programs.
felt like.
There's some other big programs coming back. Like, it's a big week for like TV and stuff like that. I don't know if you've ever watched it, Vince. I know it is over in America, but Peaky Blinders returns.
Peaky Blinders return
Never
on
watched it.
Sunday. Is it next Sunday? This Sunday
I think
comes
so,
back.
yeah. I see. I've still got Ozark to watch. Like the new series of Ozark. So we gotta get through that, and then it'll be Peaky Blinders.
Final season, and then The Last Kingdom comes back, like which isn't as big a show, but it's really good on Netflix. That comes back. It's about Uhtred, the Viking, but it's set in England. It's about like with Mercia and everything, and King Alfred. It's really, really good, really well done. A great cast. But it's on Netflix, and the last season is coming, so I'm looking forward to them. But I am going to watch Boba Fett. I also have to watch Vox Machina. Maybe
Absolutely watch Vox Machina. Holy shit.
Maybe the first animated series that I'll enjoy. Who knows?
That's very good.
I'm going to watch it on my commutes.
Last 3 episodes are probably some of the best in the show, but
yeah,
because damn, they go hard. I love it.
Yeah. But anyway, you know what, guys? I think that's where we're going to end it, because I know you're not feeling well, and we had a bit of technical issues, but when we set up, so it's already ran, and I can see you slumping further and further in your chair as the podcast has gone on, Terry. Thank you for battling through, but you can't see him, but you can hear him, and trust us, his beard is there. It is the best beard in the business. Mr. Vince Haley, thank you for joining us.
Rise foul tarnished.
Oh,
I guess that's some bullshit Elden Ring stuff. Also joining us, it is the sick one, Obi-Pun Kenobi himself, Mr. Terry Jeffs. Terry, thank you for braving it and being here today.
Thank you. I'm hanging in there, ready for sleep.
Ready for sleep, indeed. Just a bit of housekeeping before we go. There'll be no stream tomorrow. I am having a day off. So there'll be no stream tomorrow, but we will probably be back on Sunday. Will we finish some more Back 4 Blood? Me and Vince are having a very good time playing that.
So good.
But it is so hard right now. That last level is brutal.
They throw some shit at you.
Oh my god, it is definitely stepped up. But because obviously you've been sick, Terry. The way me and Vince play it is we play in a private lobby, so it's just me and Vince and some and 2 bots
that are actually useful.
They're useful because they basically just give you shit, but they don't kill anything. So
they kill things.
Well, very few things. Like
the bots are always decent in Left 4 Dead too.
Yeah, it kind of follows the same MO, doesn't it? But the levels are just ramping up because there's different cards for each level, so it could be like enemies are armored, or all enemies sprint, or like it's just ridiculous the level we're doing at the moment. So but you know,
they throw a lot of shit at you.
They throw a lot of shit at us. So
constantly.
We will be back probably with some more Back 4 Blood on Sunday. Will Liverpool have won a championship by then, a title? I believe it's the League Cup final on Sunday, so I'll be watching that as well. So yeah, join us for that, and then we'll be back next Tuesday at our regular filming time for the Shifty Crab podcast. Will Terry be feeling better by then? We hope so.
Bloody hope so. Jesus.
Hope so, yeah.
You can follow us over on Twitter at CrabShifty if you want to go send some love for Terry to tell him to get well soon. Or you can follow us over on YouTube at Shifty Crab, or over on Twitch at Shifty Crab Plays. But until next time, stay shifty.